us, I feel like the first kind of trial was our first U.S. tour that we booked ourselves, and like we did 55 shows in 45 days, and we did 44 states, and we sometimes 3 shows a day. The treasure we found at the end of that was that the last show was in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and we didn't want to stop the shows. We wanted to keep going, and I think that was the first time it was like, okay, this can work, but it's going to be really difficult.
Hello, we're the Ghost of Paul Revere. I'm Sean, this is Griffin, and this is Max.
Hi.
I think a big reason why people have enjoyed coming to our shows and stuff is because we try to play honest music and we try to be honest with the audience. We don't try to be people we're not or try to seem cool.
In 2020, we've got a lot of exciting things coming up because we got not only a tour in Europe, but also a new record, which we're really excited to release the details about soon, that we've been working on for the last year and a half or so. And a lot of our festival, Ghostland, this year is got some stacked acts, and we're very excited to announce that in March, I think.
Yeah, we've got that next big tour Max was talking about is going to be about a month long in Sweden and Norway and Denmark. We've been over to Denmark before. We've been over to London before. But this is kind of going to be our first time of actually dipping our toes in the water and staying in there for a little while.
At the base level, we all want to produce something that is intimate and heartfelt, and it's hard when you've been doing the same songs over and over again. Certain parts of them do get easier, which makes that kind of the nerves or the kind of the fear around performing in front of people takes the edge off of it, but at the same time, it never really gets completely easy.
I think that lends itself to a really cool opportunity musically when you're a band to kind of have a clean slate every night, but something that you need to knock out of the park every time you play. And I think that's my favorite thing about touring new places and doing that in New England now we don't necessarily have the chance to do anymore, but in the other side of that coin is in the venues that we do play a lot, and we do get a lot of people that we know personally that come out to shows. Then it becomes, how do we ratchet up each show to become this new thing? But when you travel to a new place, you're actually just kind of playing the songs in their barest bones and their essence, because you don't have to try to surprise people that have been coming to 20, 30 shows.
It seems like a lot of the difficulty in getting into this industry is that kind of first step. And I know I was pretty hesitant to let go of my day job because, being told by supportive parents, like, absolutely, go out for your dreams. If there's something that you're comfortable with keeping as a hobby, then that's okay too. And having the kind of step off the cliff moment where it's, I'm putting this aside, this being a 9-to-5 day job, and focusing all my attentions on this one project, I think you will be very surprised at which the rate things start progressing at that point.
One of the biggest assets for us, we're just come from kind of salt of the earth, people that work hard, and a lot of that's been instilled in us. And it's very important to have a creative idea, but you have to build off of something. And the music industry is a constantly changing game. There's no real playbook on how to succeed, but you have to be constantly kind of researching and doing the best that you can and putting stock in yourself as also a business person. It's very important to be creative, but at the same time, you have to figure out how to market yourself and stand up for yourself and figure out, how to move forward in a healthy way, because there's been a lot of hype around, in the past of artists and creative types just getting picked up and being able to live kind of a crazy kind of creative lifestyle. But it's not really the case. I think you need to be kind of like constantly checking in on the business and kind of making sure you have your hands in everything.
I think the best advice I ever got was not to do it. And in saying that, I mean that because if you're not willing to work hard enough to prove everyone wrong, you're not going to work hard enough to make it successful. I think that pursuing anything in the creative arts is extremely difficult, and it takes a lot more skills than people give it credit for, including time management and business skills. And I mean, we run a small business, and like on top of that, you have to learn how to be creative on top of that. It can be very stressful, and it can be pretty crazy. And I think that if you're not willing to do anything you can do to make that count and to make it work, then you're not necessarily going to make it work. And I've known a lot of people who are very, very talented, but are waiting for something to happen to them. And I don't believe that you have to move somewhere or be from somewhere to do incredible things in music. I think that all you have to do is make it happen for yourself, because no one else is gonna. Would you take me there?
We've been trying to get really good at saying, yes, we're going to try it to anything in the writing process, because you really don't know if something would work better than the other thing until you hear them. And I think that has become probably the most advantageous piece of the process in terms of communicating between another. You get to it's not as impressive or spontaneous as some of these jam solos that you see out at these live shows, but it's got the same idea at it. During that process, you get to kind of run on the fly, and if you've got an idea right there and you're not even sure if it's going to work yourself, you just throw it out there and then you try to work on it as a group. Sorry, 1 second. Charles, are you okay? Sounds like you got a big straw there, bud.
I was going to say, at the next show I go to, I'm just going to shout at one of the musicians, "Nice jam solo! That was an awesome jam solo!"
Nice jam solo.
Yeah, good jam solo!
I'm rolling on the ground on my mollies right now. I don't know, the rock star lifestyle thing, anytime we think that we're in a situation like that, what normally happens is we get together in a corner and just like, oh my God, look at that shit. Holy shit, look at that shit.
Well, we're a folk band. I think the big thing is that, like, we might be on the, like, more rambunctious side of the scene that we kind of were introduced to and started in. But in the grand scheme of things, we're still a folk band and party as such. It's civil. We're civil partiers.
Civil partiers.
So now it's a thing, but it's the official state ballad, not the state song. There's a period at the beginning of every term that any citizen can put a bill forward into the House and the Senate, and they did that, and it went through unanimously in both the House and the Senate, and everyone was pretty super excited about it, and we're hoping to do some fun things with it this year, because it's this year is the bicentennial of Maine's statehood, so we are hopefully going to have some fun things planned for it. But we really didn't do much besides show up to the signing.
Do you now feel kind of like added pressure because of that?
No, I mean, no, we're still trash people. It's fine. We don't really care.
You can get away with anything now. We're in politics. It doesn't matter what we do.
They gave us one free law a year. That's law. That's a thing. They gave us the key to the state, which gives you one free law a year.
At the end of the day, there are good days and there are bad days. And I don't really mean the general value of the day or the time spent, but just in terms of where you feel with yourself. And I think a really important thing to keep in mind is that just because you had a good day doesn't mean that brother next to you did. And working kind of through that and keeping that in mind throughout. Because if you go out on the road and you do that 55 shows in 45 days, 44 states with the same 5 guys in the same van for that amount of time, you're going to get on each other's nerves a little bit. And you're going to like, phew, at the end of each of those long tours, we don't see each other for at least a week afterwards, because you just have to remember what it's like to have your own space. But by keeping in mind that these people are your brothers and they've got your back, it shifts the entire thing into a kind of realm where it's not there's no necessarily a fatal misstep, you know. There's not something that one of these guys will say that's going to send a bottle flying, or like somebody starts walking back to Maine. We are worth more than that. And keeping that in mind through the 3 hours of sleep you got for a week straight, and only eating fucking Kind bars and combos from the gas station. Sometimes that's hard to keep in mind, but you focus on that point. That's your team. And you guys are going to prove them wrong. Or right. Prove the nice ones right. Hungover off of this goddamn Danish devil beverage called Gammeldansk. And they looked at the inside of our guitar cases, which was crushed velvet. But they asked us what we called it. And we were like, oh, that's just crushed velvet. And they said, oh, over here, we call that nervous velvet. So if you ever see a band of 5 gentlemen that look very much like us, but have roguish accents and are up to no good in international capers.
They're called Spandana.
Spandana, a.k.a. Nervous Velvet, a.k.a. Big D and the Little Bees.